Last time on Halo Follower we discussed the Spartan III program, but now let's move on to the Spartan IV program. The history and the origins of the program. In the waning days of the Human and Covenant War, the Office of Naval Intelligence realized that the Spartan II and Spartan III programs had been resulting successes and that more Spartans would be needed. Therefore, Lieutenant Commander Musa 096 proposed the Spartan IV program, a second attempt to mass-produce Spartans, but unlike the threes, which were top secret, the fours would be highly publicized branch of the UNSC simply called Spartans. The program was approved by Admiral Perenolsky and would be led by Colonel James Ackerson, head of the Spartan III program, with Dr. Catherine Halsey, head of the Spartan II program, serving as his subordinate. However, when Ackerson was killed by the Covenant on Mars and Halsey was arrested on Onix for treason, it was decided to move ahead without the trainers taken from both the 2 and 3 programs. Recruitment in the first battles. Unlike the previous two programs, the fours recruited adult volunteers from all branches of the UNSC, including ODSTs like Sarah Palmer, who was actually the first recruit into the Spartan IV program. The only exceptions were the Spartan IIIs already in service who, in spite of the fact that most of them were teenagers, were offered the chance to join the fours or become reassigned to largely non-combatant roles. Several 2s and 3s chose to become trainers for the 4s instead, June A266 being a notable example. The first 145 4s went online on January 7th, 2553 after augmentations were not nearly as risky as they once were with the 3s and the 2s. It wouldn't take long for the 4s to see action. However, when their ship of operations, the UNSC Infinity, was attacked by insurrectionists who were hoping to steal the ship on the same day the 4s went active. Luckily, the insurrectionists were beaten back by 4s led by Sarah Palmer and Edward Davis, an action that both were commended for. Spartan 4s were also on board Infinity when the ship was commanded by Lord Hood and used to intervene in a civil war on Sangelios, but no 4s were ever deployed during this engagement. The last notable engagement at this time period is the Battle of Dratheus. The last notable engagement in this time period is the Battle of Dratheus V in 2554, during which Sarah Palmer and Edward Davis were able to stop the Covenant from gaining a Foreigner superweapon called X-50, which could destroy planets. However, Davis was killed during the event and Dratheus V was disintegrated, but Palmer was able to kill the leader of the Covenant fleet, Merg Vol, and sabotage X-50. Now we'll discuss Requiem. After Dratheus V, all info on the Force conflicts disappears until the year 2557, when Infinity's captain, Andrew Del Rio, chose to pilot the ship into a Foreigner shield world called Requiem in pursuit of a beacon that belonged to the UNSC frigate Forward Onto Dawn. However, Requiem's gravity caused Infinity to crash on the planet, where the ship was not attacked by only Covenant forces, but also Promethean forces led by the last Foreigner known as the Didact. During this attack, Del Rio chose to send a team of Marines and Force led by the ship's XO, Thomas Lasky and Sarah Palmer, who had now been promoted to the leader of the Force. This recon group was almost wiped out, but were saved by the intervention of the Forward Onto Dawn's forces, which consisted of the legendary Spartan II Master Chief and the AI Cortana, who promptly aided the recon group in fighting to the Infinity and fighting off the attack. Afterwards, Force led by the Chief took down the gravity well, but due to the conflict of the interest between the Chief and Del Rio, the Force along the entire crew of Infinity were forced to head back to Earth. Upon heading to Earth, the Force were unable to stop the Didact from attacking Earth, which ended with the population of New Phoenix being turned into Prometheans. Luckily for Earth, the Didact was stopped by the Master Chief, who had stayed on Requiem to fight the Didact and had followed him back to Earth. 6 months after the attack on Earth, aka 6 months after Halo Force ending, now captained by Thomas Lasky after Del Rio was demoted for abandoning the Master Chief, returned to Requiem with the new Force on board in order to take the planet from the Covenant and the Promethean forces led by Ju Madama, aka the Didact's hand. During the conflicts of this campaign, Spartan IV acted as science liaisons, aiding scientists such as Drs. Glassman and Halsey in discovering Requiem's secrets. However, thanks to the deception of Dr. Halsey, Madama was able to trap Infinity in Requiem's orbit, adopt the Doctor, acquire half of a tracking system for all 400 weaponry, aka the Janus key, and then send Infinity and Requiem into the local sun. Luckily, the Force were able to fight off the invasion, acquire the other half of the tracking device, and free Infinity from Requiem, allowing the ship to narrowly escape. The only major defeat occurred when Sarah Palmer, under orders from Oni, attempted to assassinate Dr. Halsey for treason, but was only able to shoot her in the shoulder, which required amputation in order to save her life, who then defected to the Covenant. Now we'll discuss post-Requiem engagements and current numbers. After Requiem, the Force would serve as bodyguards for Lord Hood during a conference on Ilion 4 between the UNSC, elites led by the Arbiter, and Brutes. However, due to the treachery within the Force and the attacks by terrorist forces, the conference was ruined and several Force lost their lives evacuating to the delegates. After this, Infinity and the Force would be involved in a smaller scale engagements against insurrectionist and Covenant forces in an attempt to track down who masterminded the attack on Elin 4. As of 2558, there are currently 300 to 500 Spartan Force in active duty, with Oni having an unknown number of their own Spartans, as evidenced with Jameson Locke. Let's talk about training and equipment. Thanks to the enhancements in technology, manure armor was cheaper to produce by 2553, and as a result of all Spartan Force using manure Gen 2 armor, which unlike Gen 1 armor has a few upgrades. Where it once took 15 minutes for Spartans to put on Gen 1 armor with the aid of technicians, Gen 2 armor can be equipped within 5 minutes with the aid of an automated rig. Another upgrade is that the sprint module, developed by Catherine B320, is now built into the armor, allowing for faster run times on the battlefield. There are also new ad hoc mods that allow for armor abilities such as hardlight shields, thrusters, and holograms, although plans to replace these armor abilities with upgraded thrusters are already in testing within the Wargame simulations. Wargames is an entire deck on Infinity where Spartans battle each other in holographic simulations of real arenas. These simulations have a ranking system where upon reaching rank 50, Spartans can specialize in roles of their choosing, which can grant them a certain support or tactical packages in wargames. Although much like armor abilities, these are due to be scrapped in upcoming simulations. The extent of the scraping will affect Spartans on the field, however, is currently unknown. So what do you guys think about the Spartan IV and Spartan history overall? Let us know down in the comments below, and this is only the first few episodes of a history of and learning your Halo series. Well anyways guys, if you've enjoyed this video, then be sure to like it up, and if you want to get partnered here on YouTube for free, check out TGN to get paid, get benefits like live streaming, and a bunch of other things here on YouTube. Catch you guys next time, and peace out. Subscribe for more Halo videos. Peace.